Welcome to our picks for Week 11 in the Canadian Football League. I'm John Hodge, joined by JC Abbott. JC, we both went 3-1 last week. I was hoping for the 4-0. Unfortunately for my picks, the Bombers coughed up a 17-point win in that last game. I was not thrilled about that for my record, but that's okay. I'm still digging myself out of a bit of a hole. You're ahead of me, JC, 21-18 on the year against the spread. How does it feel at the halfway point to be ahead of the game?
Well, it's shocking, truly, the results that I'm this far ahead at this stage in the season, which means that there is a second half collapse coming, Hodge. So if you want to start fading the Abbott picks now, I think that's probably the best bet because I'm going to be bottom of the pack by the end of the year. I can guarantee it.
Well, speaking of second half collapses, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are 5.5-point home favorites over the Ottawa Redblacks on Thursday night. Rookie returner Trey Vavel will start at cornerback for Winnipeg this week due to injuries in the secondary, while the Redblacks have made two changes to their secondary as well, with Elijah McGee and Amari Henderson out due to injury. Drew Brown had arguably the best game of his career last week, throwing for almost 400 yards and 5 touchdowns, while the Blue Bombers squandered a 17-0 lead to lose in Calgary on a walk-off field goal. JC, which team will come out victorious in Bomberland?
Do you hear that, Hodge? Sorry, there's just some dogs. There's some dogs barking in the background. No, I've got the Ottawa Redblacks in this game. I think they could pull this upset off. It seemed like last week was a get-right game for this team. Drew Brown finally broke out. We saw the offensive potential that we all talked about with this receiving core before the season. It finally came to manifest. And when you're going against Winnipeg, yes, this is a tough place to play in Princess Auto Stadium. But some of the injuries that the Bombers are dealing with on the defensive side of the ball give me pause. And that offense, to put it plainly, hasn't been that good or that dangerous lately. There's some real concern there in my mind. I think if Ottawa can keep the momentum rolling and Drew Brown has another strong game against the team that essentially brought him into the CFL and trained him, I think that they can pull off this upset victory on the road.
I'm shocked, actually, that this line is as big as it is at -5.5. I expected this to be a -2, -3 type of game. And it's for that reason I have a very easy time taking the Ottawa Redblacks to cover in this one. I really like their chances of doing that. The receiving core, we expected to be very good coming into the year. It took some time to get going, but Drew Brown was sensational last week. I do think that some of that success was due to truly horrendous spacing by Toronto's defense. That was terrible. That said, I mean, almost 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. You can have a significantly worse week in week 11 and still put up 30 points, 35 points against the Winnipeg team that has struggled defensively. I mean, the secondary in Winnipeg has been better since they shook things up a few weeks ago, releasing Marquise Bridges. That said, Trey Vavel is unproven, right? This is his first career start as a defensive player, and there are other shifting elements potentially in that unit as well. And the pass rush that was dominant in that Toronto game a couple weeks ago went a little bit quiet, frankly, after that first quarter in Calgary. Did a great job of getting a few 2-and-outs to start that game. James Vaughter's a brilliant sack, and then they stopped pressuring Vernon Adams Jr. a whole heck of a lot. On the flip side, I do like Winnipeg's opportunity here to run the football. The Redblacks have struggled against the run at times this year. Cleon Lang is a game-time decision at the defensive tackle position for the Redblacks, but this Bomber offense, I went back and watched the coaches' tape of all of their second half snaps. I saw some questionable calls. I saw some questionable decisions, a little bit of gun shyness potentially from Zach Collaros. And I don't think that this receiving core, to be quite honest, is explosive enough right now. They are missing Dalton Schoen in the worst way possible. And so I think I am going to take the Bombers based, if nothing else, on the fact that this is at Princess Auto Stadium. I don't expect this game to be a blowout in either direction. So I will take Winnipeg to win, but I'm very happy to get Ottawa plus 5.5 again. I'd be happy to take them right down to +2. I think that line is inflated.
The Edmonton Elks are 2.5-point home favorites over the Toronto Argonauts on Friday night in what will be Edmonton's first game of the season in which they are not an underdog. Congratulations, Edmonton Elks. The Elks
They
beat the
did it.
Montreal. They did it. You did it, guys. The Elks beat the Montreal Alouettes last week and appear to be pointing up, while the Argonauts squandered a 22-1 lead against the Redblacks. Despite missing Tuesday's practice due to injury, Toronto receivers Devaris Daniels and DeMonte Coxey are both listed as available. Can the Elks make it 2 in a row, or will the Argonauts heed the strong words of their head coach after he ripped them last week?
Well, I was very impressed with how the Argonauts bounced back the first time head coach Ryan Dinwiddie ripped them earlier this year. I'm very interested to see. I'm sitting on the edge of my seat to see how they respond this week. That said, I mean, their two top receivers banged up. Wynton McManus, at least to me, has clearly looked not 100% as of late. Still a very effective defender, but he's been banged up. Cameron Judge has been banged up. Like, this Argonauts team doesn't have enough dogs, and that's in the words of their own head coach Ryan Dinwiddie. And the dogs they have are hurting. I think this is a great opportunity for the Elks to get their second straight win, their third win of the season. And if they do get this win, JC, I think you're almost ready. Maybe not yet, but you're almost ready to start putting them in that West Division conversation again. I think they have to get the 4 in order to fully be in that conversation for a potential playoff berth. But the only way to get to 4 is to get to 3 first. And I will pick them to win this game and cover this spread. It's only 2.5 points. I thought this would be a little bigger. Then again, as you pointed out, the Elks have not been favored to win anything this year. So clearly the odds are not drastically tipping in their favor. They are gently tipping in their favor right now. If they're able to get this win, maybe it will grow as we go. But right now, they're a healthy team, right? They just went on the road and beat an Alouettes team that, was struggling badly under center, but they got a defensive touchdown. That unit has finally started to show at least a little bit of what we thought we would see from it when they added 1 million talented free agents in the offseason. Offensively, Cody Fajardo tends to play not the most explosive brand of football, but he does tend to play mistake-free football. And that has been very beneficial, I think, for that team since he came in and kind of settled that unit down after taking over from Trey Ford. So give me the Edmonton Elks minus 2.5. I think they win their first game as a favorite in 2025.
Yeah, this game feels like a gift to me, to the Edmonton Elks. I think they will win this game as well. And frankly, I think there is some potential here for it to get ugly if the Toronto Argonauts don't respond to what Ryan Dinwiddie had to say last week. Obviously, they did the first time around, but it feels like sentiment is sort of changing around this team. And if you don't have the belief of your head coach, I don't know how much belief there is in that locker room right now. This group just looks like it's beaten down, it's banged up. The offense has been the bright spot, but again, you're concerned about those two receivers, how they're going to respond. You're concerned about how that offensive line is going to handle an Edmonton defensive line that hasn't been great this year, but has some extremely talented players on it and players that are familiar with what Toronto wants to do. I think this could be a big time win for Edmonton. Cody Fajardo makes another statement here. I'm taking them all the way.
The Saskatchewan Roughriders are 3.5-point home favorites over the Hamilton Tiger Cats on Saturday afternoon in what could be the first sellout of the season at Mosaic Stadium. These two teams met back in week 2 when the Riders won 28-23, though both clubs have shown improvement since then as the top 2 teams in their respective divisions. Saskatchewan head coach Corey Mace told the media this week he sees both Levi Mitchell and Trevor Harris as Hall of Famers. Do you think they'll both play like Hall of Famers this week? And can the Riders cover this relatively short spread?
I sure hope they both play like Hall of Famers, because this has the potential to be an excellent football game. The margins between these two teams, I think, are incredibly close. They're both playing excellent football offensively, excellent football defensively. I'm going to give the edge to the Riders here because they are A, at home, and B, they are well rested. The Hamilton Tiger Cats, of course, had that short week last week and slipped up against BC, but they are still in a very difficult stretch of scheduling for them, even if they'll have a little extra rest this week. I think that'll come back to bite them a little bit against a well-rested Riders team. Other than that, it's tough to pick out where either team has the advantage here. So I'm going to take the Riders to win, but the Ticats to cover, even with this short spread. I think it's going to be a nail biter right to the finish, much as we saw this week in the CFL.
Yeah, when teams are as evenly matched offensively and defensively, and I mean, these teams are very similar, right? I mean, they
Hmm.
know each other well. Corey Mace was a player under Brent Monson, the defensive coordinator for the Hamilton Tiger Cats for many years. They coached together for many years. Monson, I think, has done a great job of building this defense. I don't think this defense has the most explosive pass rushers necessarily, but they've been getting after the passer as of late. The disguise on the Julian Hauser interception against the BC Lions last week was awesome. Devin Verisuk has played well, their rookie middle linebacker, and that secondary has settled in very nicely. That said, Trevor Harris has been absolutely lighting it up as of late with the receiving core that it doesn't seem to matter who's hurt. Sam Emilus, yeah, that's fine. Sean Bain Jr., yeah, that's fine. Kean Schaefer-Baker, yeah, that's fine because we got Keyshawn Johnson and we got Dante Myers and we got all kinds of guys who are making. Tommy Neild was out here making slick plays right before the bye week. So the Riders, I think, are going to be able to move the ball here. The Hamilton Tiger Cats, I think, are going to be able to move the ball as well. However, Saskatchewan's defense is basically the same unit as last year. Statistically, they're not as good as they were last year, but they've still been very solid. The special teams are even hard to call because I think the Ticats get the nod in a huge way before last week when Mark Leggio was perfect and when Isaiah Wooden was lighting it up. Well, Isaiah Wooden potentially out for the year with what looked to be a broken wrist in this past game. And Mark Leggio got shaken up and missed a couple of kicks. So I think even the special teams, which are usually my tiebreaker, are awfully close. I am going to take the Riders because this game is in Riderville. I think this team is hungry to not make the same mistake that it did the last few years, where it fell very much back to the
Hmm.
pack in the West Division after a strong start. But this one, almost too close to call, JC. Just to be different from you, I'll even take them to cover. But I do think this is a one-score game, a four-pointer, a five-pointer, something like that. If the spread was any larger, I would take the Tabbies against the spread. But just a field goal is a little tough for me. So I'll take the Riders to win and barely cover.
The BC Lions are 4.5-point home favorites over the Montreal Alouettes on Saturday night, as Caleb Evans is expected to make his first start of the season following the benching of McLeod Bethel Thompson. BC beat the Tiger Cats in overtime last week, snapping their 6-game winning streak, as James Butler continues to have a career year playing alongside Nathan Rourke in the backfield. Can Montreal cover the spread with a backup QB under center, or will the Lions run away with this one?
I'm glad you highlighted James Butler because he's on pace for 1,400 yards, almost on pace to set a new single season franchise record currently held by Joe Smith. That being said, the Alouettes have been very good against the run this year. They completely shut down the Elks running game last week. That said, I think the Alouettes to win this game are going to have to go into Vancouver and basically hold that offense to no more than 16 points. Like, I don't have much faith in this Alouettes offense. It's not the most explosive offense in the CFL, even when all of their star players are healthy. And right now, I mean, you look at the receiving core, Austin Mack and Tyson Philpott out. Obviously, Davis Alexander out. I think the right decision here was made to go to Caleb Evans, but Caleb Evans hasn't shown much, right, since he left. I mean, he didn't show a ton necessarily in Ottawa, but even last year, he started one game and he got pulled. So he looked good in the preseason. That's 2 months ago now. I think BC's defense has been very good. The pass rush has been a little disappointing for me, but the secondary has far outweighed my expectations for them coming into this year. They're contesting a lot of catches. They're forcing those windows to be awfully tight. And of course, Micah Awe is just absorbing everything that comes his way, like some type of, those toys that you throw in water and they grow as they get wet. That's how Micah Awe is with tackles. Every single time he makes a tackle, it seems like he gets just a little bit bigger before he eventually envelops the entire world. So I'm happy here to take the BC Lions. I'm frankly surprised this is only a 4.5-point spread, given that the Alouettes are on quarterback 3. Yeah, I appreciate they've chosen to go to Caleb Evans, but still, 4.5 points is not a lot. I would be happy to take the Lions here right up to a touchdown. So if there's late movement, even -7, I'm still taking BC to win this game and cover this spread. Also, a tough road trip, should be said. If this is an afternoon game, a little easier for the Alouettes. Evening game, this game's starting at at late to the Alouettes' bodies. So I'm happy here to take the BC Lions to win and cover.
I'm going to preface my pick by saying that I'm a strong believer in Caleb Evans as opposed to a lot of other people in the media. I've always been banging on that drum. I think there's a lot of talent on that Alouettes roster, and they're a good team, but they're missing a lot of it right now. I don't have a lot of faith in them. And to be entirely frank, if the BC Lions lose at home to a Caleb Evans led Montreal Alouettes team, it would be fundamentally embarrassing. I do not think that they are going to fall victim to that. As good as the Montreal defense has been with their pressure packages, I think they will cause some problems for this offensive line. The secondary has holes right now. There are guys down. There are injuries across the board. I think there are going to be holes for Nathan Rourke to exploit. I don't think there's enough juice on that Alouettes offense right now to put up much of a fight, if any, because of some of the pieces that they are missing in the receiving core. I think when you have a quarterback who is somewhat limited, as Caleb Evans is, and has to be a game manager, that doesn't bode well if the other side is going to put up points. And I think the Lions are going to cover this spread very easily in a statement game at home. It's not going to be a 1-point walk-off where they barely escape by the skin of their teeth like it was the last time they played Montreal. In Montreal, I think this will be a decisive victory by BC.
Just to check what I said, the game does start at 7 Eastern, so not late necessarily to the Alouettes' bodies. They are, however, going to get back to La Belle Provence extremely late when this game is done. That charter's going to land at like 6 in the morning. It's going to be terrible. But I'm with you, JC. Regardless, the BC Lions, I think, win and take this one. This is almost a must-win for the BC Lions. You've been handed this game. I'm not going to say on a silver platter, but like on a bronze platter, right? Like this is a golden opportunity to beat a very beaten down and I think beleaguered Alouettes team. This is a good opportunity for them to get that 5th win, especially if Winnipeg loses. That'll be great for them in the West Division standings. We thank you as always for checking out our picks. Enjoy week 11 in the CFL. And for JC Abbott, I'm John Hodge. Join us for our regular podcast. It'll be out Sunday or Monday this upcoming week, depending on our schedules. We'll see you then.